So last week, Andrea, Detective Rich Wistocki was back with us, former Naperville detective who's spent his second career developing a terrific company that specifically tries to combat not just bullying, but sexploitation of children. Mm-hmm. And he said, here's somebody else you got to talk to. You got to talk to the Kane County State's Attorney. And Jamie L. Mosser joins us now. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So, Andrea, the deal is the Sheriff's Office in Kane County and the State's Attorney's Office have partnered on this to put together a joint initiative to stop sexual exploitation of children. It's the Child Exploitation Unit. First off, thanks for doing the work. Secondly, how does it work and how do we help?
Wonderful question. So what we decided to do was to be able to hire investigators and a forensic analyst to be in-house, essentially. And so what we found out is that our bigger departments, like Aurora and Elgin, they have detectives who can run down these cases because this takes a lot of hours to get search warrants and grand jury subpoenas to be able to identify this from these cyber tips that come in through the Illinois Attorney General's office. And as a result of that, we have been, the Sheriff's Office and the State's Attorney's Office in our Child Exploitation Unit, we've been running down these tips when before they just sat without anybody being able to give them time to it. So that's essentially how it works. The support that you can give us is to continue to talk to local county boards like the Kane County Board. The funding has to remain there to employ these specialized investigators who have years of experience just tracking down these offenders.
It's got to be a very tough job, of course, crimes involving children. Does their work include posing as a teenager? Because a lot of these crimes you hear of people assume that they're meeting with a child, but it turns out to be an adult. So is that part of the unit and part of the responsibilities as well, Jamie?
Not right now. We are dealing right now just with the backlog of all these cyber tips that we have. So that may be an initiative in the future, but for now we're just going to go with the known individuals that we have throughout Kane County and make sure we get them off the streets as quickly as possible.
Now, the thing is, in State's Attorney Mosser, you know this better than anybody. You know, there's the assumption that big cities are where the creeps are. Big city is where the dangers are. People that want to exploit children, they live everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm not saying that to say it's happening on every corner. It's happening on your block. The point is it can, and that's why it's so important to be doing this in the burbs.
100%. And when we presented this to the Kane County Board in 2021, we actually ran the cyber tips within Kane County, and the community that had the highest cyber tips was St. Charles. And I have to tell you, nobody is going to think about that with St. Charles because this oftentimes goes as a hidden crime. And but for the actions or proactive actions of people like Sheriff Hayne and myself and police officers who want to actually track these down, this would go unseen until that person perpetrates on a child and that child comes forward.
Jamie, has cyber technology made these crimes easier to commit or easier for you to catch these criminals?
A little bit of both. So it's very easy for them to now transfer the child pornography or child sexploitation images throughout a variety of different technology. But for our purposes, because of the actions of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, along with the Illinois Attorney General's Office, who work together with places like Google or Yahoo, who will give us these tips, we're able to find them through subpoenas and IP addresses. It takes a lot of investigation, but the investigators that we have employed here at the Sheriff's Office and the State's Attorney's Office are top-notch, so we're definitely taking a lot of people off the streets.
You know, part of the deal here is to try to cut through the politics, and I'm glad you brought up the social media piece of this. So are you getting cooperation from all social media companies, or are some better than others?
No, we're getting cooperation from all. This is one of those topics that nobody wants to protect the perpetrator. And so we haven't had any issues getting the IP addresses or other information that we need to be able to fully investigate and prosecute these.
What can we do to protect our children?
The best way is to talk to them about these things. Perpetrators will come in, and sometimes they will be a friend of a friend because they're posing to be somebody else. And so you have to talk to your kids about internet safety. And I know Rich Wistocki does a great job with that. Mm-hmm. The other part is that phone does not belong to them. Go through that phone. I go through my children's phone on a regular basis, not only because I'm the state's attorney, but because I want to protect them, and I've seen horrific things. And so it's about talking to them, letting know that they can come to you, especially with the rise of these sexploitation cases where they send one image and then this person takes advantage and just tries to get more and more and more. And before you know it, you have a child who is harming themselves because of the fear of what's going to happen.
There are kids who end up listening to this show. I'm not being a wise guy here for obvious reasons, but there are kids who end up listening to this show at different times. Let's hope we catch one of them now. Mm-hmm. If there's a kid that's scared, who's been told by somebody, you bring this up, I'll kill your parents. You bring this up, I'll do this, I'll do that. Right. What do you say to kids?
I tell them all the time to talk to the school resource officer, to talk to their parents, because chances are this is just a false threat, but kids are so terrified about it. If they talk to their parents, if law enforcement gets involved, we can protect them. And we do that very proactively because this is a priority for us to make sure that our children are safe.
I talked to somebody, and it wasn't Detective Rich, but it seemed like good advice as well, but I need your opinion on it. Somebody said, as a parent, you need to look your kid in the eye, regardless of their age, if their behavior has changed, if it's not the kid you recognized, if they're struggling with something, and say, you can tell me anything, no matter what anybody has told you. I am not in danger. Nobody can hurt me.
I won't get mad at you.
And I need to help you. I don't think you say, I won't get mad at you, because you may have a reason to get mad at you, depending on the information. But do you agree with that, or is that not a path to go down?
No, I do agree with that, because they have to feel comfortable with you, and so you have to give them certain assurances. And so, again, the saying I'm not necessarily mad at somebody, because you may be frustrated and the kids may see that. They have to be able to trust you, but if they know that you are a safe place, they're more likely to come to you, especially if they believe that you can protect yourself as a parent, because that's our job, is to protect ourselves as well as them.
What's the first move if you're in Kane County? Call your local police department?
Yes, 100%.
And as far as websites and resources go, missingkids.org is a place that you can go. But anywhere else you want to send folks?
There's a lot of things that you can do about documentation. So there's a documentcloud.org, and that has a lot of resources that you can go to find out how to look in your children's social media. There's different apps that you can actually download on your phones, in your kids' phones, like Bark, B-A-R-K, and that will give you alerts when certain words pop up that shouldn't pop up on your kid's phone, depending on the age of them. And so the easiest way is just to research this. There are so many online resources that parents can find given all of this, but it takes that first step of admitting that my child may be a victim, so let me be proactive to prevent that from happening.
Appreciate the work you're doing. Please stay safe, and thanks for the education.
Thank you. I appreciate being on here.
All right, Kane County State's Attorney Jamie L. Mosser. Not a happy topic, but one you need to have the discussion over because it's really important.
Absolutely.
So the company that Detective Rich Wysocki is in charge of, I'm going to get you the website for that because I blanked on off the top of my head. But anyway, if you're a community organization or a school, you should have the detective in to talk. And the one tip he always talks about, which rings true with me and Nick, because you've heard him many times, your kid's phone charger in the phone, not in his bedroom,
right,
or her bedroom, because you're letting the creep, and you're letting the entire world. It's an open door to your kid's bedroom to the entire world if they have the phone in bed with them.
Yep.
It's Be Sure Consulting, BESURE, BeSureConsulting.com. It'd be a great thing to do to have Detective Rich in to talk to parents and kids too, for that matter.